Hey everybody, welcome back to Elevator Pitch. My name is Joe Ennis, and today I am speaking to Barry Overton. Barry is a real estate agent in Colorado. He's also written a book called Ignite Your Greatness, and he is an incredible individual. He's done a lot. He's a retired police officer, and he's started and sold many businesses, and Barry is on a mission to help other people find the greatness in them, find what their purpose is on this earth, not necessarily in a job, but just in day-to-day life, whether it's serving others or, helping others in some way, or, being hospitable. Whatever it is, Barry is trying to help people find their purpose and find the greatness inside of them. I have had the pleasure to work with Barry on his podcast, which is called Greatness Ignited, and I'll have the link to that podcast in the show notes if you want to go listen. There he interviews people who are doing amazing things, who are living in their greatness. He has kind of a process and an algorithm on how to find your greatness, or how to get closer to it at least. And I think it's really cool. I think he's a great dude. He works incredibly hard. And it's been an honor to work with him on his podcast and to see how he's been able to help others and affect others and change lives has been really cool. So enjoy the episode. Thanks again for listening. Hey everybody, welcome back to Elevator Pitch. My name is Joe Ennis, and today I am speaking with Barry Overton. Barry, thank you so much for being here.
Hey Joe, it is a pleasure to be here and love everything that you're doing. So it's an honor just to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Barry, tell us a little bit about, what you do.
So, man, where do I start? I just kind of going back, I'm a Gulf War veteran. I spent 26 years in law enforcement. I've been an entrepreneur, had several different businesses. The most recent of where I'm focusing a lot of my attention is real estate. I'm a broker agent, building an organization right now. So really excited about the growth. And a big part, I'm an author, speaker, and a big part of what I speak on is personal growth and really helping the masses to reach inside to be able to grab hold of their greatness and exude their potential out to the world. And I've found a new way, a new concept of being able to do that in real estate that I'm really excited about, in helping others to maximize their own growth.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, right off the bat, I'm just going to give a shout out to Greatness Ignited, the podcast that I've been able to help you with. I think it's a super awesome podcast. You've interviewed some really cool people. The links for that will be in the description of this episode. But Barry, I wanted to ask you a few questions kind of about that. What are some of when it comes to greatness and it comes to, entrepreneurs or just everyday people trying to find that greatness, what they're meant for and what their purpose is, what are some of the issues that you see people running into that kind of halt that or make them feel like they're never going to find it, I guess?
Well, I think first and foremost, it comes to how we look at greatness, how it's perceived. And in most cases, people look at greatness as, oh, that's, the Tom Brady's of the world, the Michael Jacksons of the world. That's not for someone like me. I wasn't born with this, these gifts and talents. But the fact of the matter is we all have greatness inside of us. It's our one job is to peel back the layers to ourselves and figure out what that is. And for me, I thought it was going to be sports, but it wasn't. I thought it was going to be, in law enforcement, but it wasn't. But what I found is all these different layers that I have of experiences that I had when I started pulling back and finding out where my greatness really lied. It was from a standpoint of just where my purpose was, of giving back and being service to others. And now that I found that, what I'm doing from a business standpoint, what I'm doing with my book, what I'm doing with the podcast, when I'm speaking on the road, all of those tie in to the greatness, which is in effect tied to my purpose. And that was the thing. I was 47 years old. That was 6 years ago. 47 years old before I ever figured out what my purpose is. And I think that that's the biggest obstacle that we run into, is trying to figure out why we're here. What are we meant to do? But I tell you, once you figure that thing out, it is just a fire that burns inside of you. We were talking before we started recording of how I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning because I'm so excited to get my day started. And I work, for a couple of hours because it gives me the opportunity to get a lot done. And I'm just passionate. I can't sleep because I'm so passionate about my purpose right now.
That's awesome. That's great. That's a good, I mean, it's not a problem, but it's a good thing to have, a good instinct and feeling to know that what you're doing every day excites you that much that you don't even want to sleep, for more than, a few hours because you want to just keep doing it. That's awesome. Barry, what are some of the ways that you try to you're trying to help others find their greatness? I know, you talked a little bit about, you have a book and you have the podcast and you're trying to help people through real estate. What are some of the things that you do with clients or with guests or, buyers of your book? How do you try and help them find their greatness?
I'll try and make this part quick, but I actually created a theory around greatness, and it's in my book, of proving that each and every one of us have greatness inside of us. And part of it is, now being a former police officer, I was a detective, and I'm used to going into court of law and proving a case beyond a reasonable doubt. And so I kind of approach this proof of greatness as the same way. One aspect of it is just taking the odds. We all are familiar with the odds, especially in this day and age where gambling is becoming such a big thing we can do right over your phone. So we understand the odds. And a lot of times we think about the odds and we think that they're stacked against us. We think that the odds are not in our favor. But I like to give an example of the odds. And I share when I'm in a speaking engagement, I talk about the odds of being struck by lightning are 3,000 to 1. I thought they honestly would have been a lot bigger, a lot larger than that. But so be careful, Joe.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous now.
Yeah. But the odds of being bit by a shark are like 3.4 million to 1. The odds of winning the lottery are 175 million to 1. That one I wish was a lot smaller.
I know.
But 175 million to 1, 3.4 million to 1. But here it is, the greatest odd in life we've already beat. And that odd is 400 million to 1, 400 trillion to 1. The odds of a human egg and a human sperm cell coming together and conceiving is 400 million to 1. The odds of us just being born, according to Mel Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk, are 400 trillion to 1. But yet and still, we're all here. We have beat the greatest odds in life. We have a purpose. There's a reason for us to be here. So if that's not greatness, I don't know what is.
That's cool. I like that. That's a cool thought process. Barry, I know there's a lot of people out there. I want to shift a little bit, but not entirely. And maybe this question has different answers. My next question that I usually ask my guests is, what sets you apart from someone else in the same field, or your business apart from someone else in the same field? And I'd appreciate it if you could answer kind of in two parts. First off, on the real estate side, what do you think what are you doing differently that is either sticking out to your clients, or that you can tell other people, in case there are people listening that maybe want to buy a home, that they could either look for in real estate agents around the Maryland area where I am, or over in Denver where you are? What are some of the things that sets you apart in that field? And then maybe also in the other area of just being an entrepreneur and being someone who inspires others, what are some of the things that sets you apart from different people that are trying to do that?
Well, on the real estate side, it was 2017. So I've been in real estate since 2001. But remember, I had a career as a police officer also, and an entrepreneur and other businesses. So I didn't go all in on real estate until 2017. I had fortunately, built a pretty good customer base by then. But one of the things that I told myself in 2017 is I want to be, when people say real estate, I want to be the first person they think about. I want Barry Overton and real estate to be synonymous with one another. And I said, okay, how do I do that? And it came down to I have to set myself apart from the masses. In Colorado, there are 30,000 licensed real estate agents. So obviously, people have a huge pick,
Yeah.
in regards to agents. So how was I going to make myself the name that they think about first? And what I did, it came down to branding and marketing and how I looked at it. I don't know how it is on the East Coast, but here in Denver, we have particular lawyers, accident attorneys that you turn on the radio, you see their commercials, you see their billboards, you see their print, and people know when you're in an accident, there are names that automatically come up. So I said, okay, I have to do the same thing. And I've put my name, I've put my face any and everywhere that I can in regards to marketing. And I understand that in most cases, it's not a matter of, okay, I spend, $10,000 for a billboard and expect for all these calls to roll in. But it's the long game. It's realizing that over time, all of a sudden, when people are hammered over the head with Barry Overton, all of a sudden, that's the name that automatically jumps out at them. So a big part for me was the branding. So again, I use social media from a standpoint of business. Yeah, I do find some entertainment out of it, but I am the one more so that is trying to entertain through my marketing of what I'm doing from a real estate standpoint, what I'm doing with the book and the motivational speaking. And so it really is a great tool. And I think a lot of times we miss the value of social media when you're in business, because again, many of us are caught just scrolling and looking at social media from an entertaining ourselves from it. But when you look at this free marketing that we're able to get from it, I take full advantage of that. And then obviously with print advertising, billboards, things of that nature, looking at those opportunities as well. And really again, I've always made it a point to have value in what it is that I'm offering and what most agents are not talking about. So I have different programs where I can take a buyer, a first-time home buyer, and turn them into a cash buyer. I have programs where I can reach out to sellers and connect them with iBuyers. There are very few real estate agents that even know how to go about doing that. But when you can offer services that buyers and sellers are not used to hearing real estate agents offer, it sets you apart.
Right.
So, it's just a combination of adding value, being on top of the brand, and then consistently staying up on the marketing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I like what you said too. I mean, I say this, I've said this on my podcast so many times, but I always love when the marketing advice doesn't come from me and it comes from like guests on my shows and stuff, because I'm constantly, hitting a lot of my clients over the head with the same stuff, or potential clients, or just people in general who think that marketing can be kind of a big waste of money because they don't see quick results necessarily all the time. And how it kind of takes time, but in the long run, it can pay off. I mean, I just had a client recently who just struck a bunch of big deals through their podcast that I was able to help them with. And it's taken them, they are on episode 85 or something, but now that they're starting to strike a lot of deals through it and gain some popularity on it, it's really paying off for them. But I always love hearing that from someone else. But that's really cool. I have found out kind of in the same vein that a lot of at least in the Maryland area, I know a few real estate agents, but a lot of the ones that are on social media constantly are the ones, like you said, that I immediately think about when someone's like, I need to work with a real estate agent. I'm like, well, I know a few that keep posting on Facebook, like all these things they're selling.
Yeah.
And so I like that approach, and I'm glad that you're taking that approach,
Mhm.
because that definitely makes sense. Um, Barry, why should people worry about finding their greatness? Why should they care about this? Why is this something that they, should put effort towards? And it doesn't necessarily look like a ton of physical effort, but taking time to study and look back and think about what their purpose is, and maybe explore different things. Why is this something important that people should try and put time towards?
Well, and I love the question because I think of my life, 53 years on this planet, and there's two different lives that I've lived, actually probably multiple, but I can separate them into two specific. And like I said, it was probably 2008 was when my personal development journey started. And I mentioned that I was 47, so only 6 years ago, about 2015, that I found my purpose. But in 2008, I created or found a new mindset in regards to how I wanted to live life. And so then, before 2008, I wasn't even looking for my purpose. I always thought my purpose was to be a police officer. My purpose was to be a father, and raise my kids so they can do amazing things. That I'm not supposed to do amazing things. That's, let me teach them how to do those things. And so the guy, pre 2008, was someone that was a very hard worker, had a strong work ethic, enjoyed his job, but there was something inside that was just hollow, that was telling me, man, there's so much more in you, but I wasn't listening to it. And then it was through the very first book I picked up for personal development. Is probably the best one that you could pick up as a first book, Think and Grow Rich. And I can tell you, by using those 13 principles that Napoleon Hill has taught so many others, and has created so many millionaires and created so much success for so many people, I started applying those and realizing, man, there is more for you out here. And so for the very first time, I started thinking about walking away from this guaranteed, as they say, guaranteed paycheck, this six-figure income that I had as a police officer, and going out and doing my own thing. And it was through that process, there was this growth and maturation of myself, becoming someone that was, very secure in their job, happy with it, but still seeking more, to getting into a place where now I'm working for myself and realizing that there's a lot of fear when you got to count on yourself for a paycheck, and
Oh
and
yeah.
not knowing when the next one is coming.
Oh yeah.
But it was, yeah, but it was because of the personal development growth, though, through that process, that put me in a place of realizing, okay, but you can do this. So many other people have done this before you, and to be able to hear their stories and understand that they were able to do this, and they had struggles along the way. So realizing that I'm going to have struggles, but it's a part of the process. And then, like I said, at 47, 2015, boom, this traumatic event happens in my life, loss of my brother, 13 months later, the loss of my father, and the worst financial time that I had ever experienced as an adult, all hitting me at one time. And me being in a place of not allowing that to break me down, but knowing, hey, this is my moment. This is my moment to prove everything that I've been reading, everything that I've been learning. I'm going to apply it. I'm going to push through and persevere through this storm. And as I came out on the other side, I mean, there was a guy that was just on fire at that point. And that's where I'm still that way. I'm 53 years old right now, and I have more energy now than I did at 25 in regards to pursuing the rest of what the scope of my life is going to look like. I always tell people I made a deal with God that because I was 47 years old when I found out my purpose, I said, hey, if you give me another 65 years of life, I'm going to live every day in it, pursuing my purpose and helping others pursue theirs. So every morning that I wake up, I'm like, okay, God, you kept up your end of the bargain today. So that means I need to do my part.
That's cool. That's awesome. Uh, and it's extremely inspiring to me, obviously, who I'm only 24. I turned 25 in February, but I've had the same thoughts. It's stressful having to, make sure you don't know where your paycheck's coming from every month sometimes. But it's very inspiring to hear people like yourself and others who have, like you said, gone before me and done it themselves and been able to be that inspiration, to kind of say, hey, you can do it and it works. You just gotta, put the time in, you gotta work hard, and you gotta, also enjoy the ride a little bit and learn along the way. That's so cool. Barry, two questions in closing. Number one, what would you advice, and you kind of gave it a little bit at the beginning there, I think, but what advice would you give to people who are listening to this, who have not ever before this thought for a second, what is my greatness? What is my purpose? Where would you recommend they start to kind of start thinking about those things?
And I know everyone is not faith-based or spiritual, but for me, that's where I found it is my conversations with God. And, I went through a Bob Proctor course where he talked about prayer is our way of how we talk to God. Intuition is how God talks back to us. So I would say whether you're faith-based or not, listen to the voice within. That is whatever you want to call it, whether it's God, whether it's just you. But the key is that we have to get to a point in our lives where things are quiet. Things are, there's always the hustle and bustle of life that's going on around us. And just like social media can be a distraction, that can be a distraction from you being able to find what your purpose is. And again, 47 years old. And what I found my purpose to be was service to others. And when I look back on life and I realized that, man, I served as a Gulf War veteran. I protected and served as a police officer. Every business that I've been successful with, there was a service component to it. So I realized that's where my purpose is serving others. And I can tell you, I get the most joy and fulfillment in life by doing that. Whether there's, some of the speaking engagements I do, I don't get paid for them. And I enjoy them immensely because I'm getting paid by the people that I'm impacting. And when I get that message back from them, of how what I'm sharing with them is making an impact. So the biggest thing I would say is being able to just make everything around you quiet and listen to the voice inside, and know that when you're working in a job that you wake up in the morning and you are not happy to go to it, the voice is telling you something. The voice is telling you this is not where your happiness is. You have to find it. And those moments that you find you're doing something that you enjoy, it may be a hobby, but it may be something that you're immensely good at and people get paid for it. Well, maybe it's time to turn that hobby into a business. So we have to listen to the voice inside.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's kind of what I did. Podcasts were my hobby for a while. And then someone told me, I got lucky that someone told me, they were like, hey, you're kind of good at this. You should try it. And I was like, okay. Anyways, last two questions, Barry. First one, who are your ideal clients? Who do you like to work with? Who is the book for? Who are the clients you like to work with, in real estate? Tell us a little bit about, that kind of side of things.
So yeah, with on the real estate side of things, obviously I'm looking for anyone that's looking to buy, sell property in the Metro Denver area. And like I said in the beginning, we have some very unique programs and different a style of doing real estate that we've been able to put into play. For instance, you don't just get me. There's a whole team that you get when you're working with me. But you only pay for one agent, and you actually pay less
awesome.
for that one agent than you pay, most other brokers, but you get a team working together, because we've been able to create something where we come together as a team to help one another. Thereby it helps the clients, but you're not having to pay the entire team. So it's a really unique program that we've created with that. But also, the ideal person, now I'm just looking for the rest of my life to be able to impact and touch people. I can tell you, before we got on today, I had a bunch of different things that I was doing, but there was 2 times today that I got on social media, and both times within a matter of the first 60 seconds of being on there. One of them is a past client. One of them was a real estate agent that I've mentored, and they both had messages that one of them was talking about depression and having hard times this year. The other one was talking about having, finding some success in her real estate business, but still having a very challenging year. And it was in that moment that I turned into that mentor, and I left them messages on their comments, but I'm going to reach out to them today personally to talk to them more. See, I get passionate about, especially the people that I know, and I want to know as many people as I can, because I want to touch and I want to impact. I know the challenges that people have gone through because I've been there. And if I have a word of advice that I can share with someone, I'll share it, and again, we don't put a monetary gain on being able to share that information.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. Barry, thank you so much for coming on today. You have the floor. Plug away. Plug your book. Plug your real estate. Plug anything else you want. You have the floor. Thank you again.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for having me. And like I said, it was truly an honor to be a part of this, because I really appreciate everything that you do and the people that you're impacting. And, if you're in the Metro Denver area, again, and you're looking for a unique real estate experience, definitely reach out to me, Barry Overton, eXp Realty. You can find me, just Google my name, Barry Overton Realtor, and you will definitely find me there. If you're looking for, personal development assistance, whether it's me, whether it's many of the partnerships that I have with other motivational speakers, I can definitely get you tied into some different programs to help you there. But again, the book is Ignite Your Greatness. You can find it at igniteyourgreatness.com. If you're an audiobook person, we have it on Audible. So you can go to Audible, pick it up there as well, and listen to it while you're walking, running, working out, or making those big steps in your life. So thank you again for the opportunity, Joe.
Awesome. And listeners, as always, all of the links to everything Barry Overton will be in the description of this episode, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify or watching on YouTube. You can check the description and you can see everything Barry Overton. I know for a fact, like he said, he would love to just talk to you if you have any questions about real estate or about his book, or entrepreneurship in general. I'm sure Barry would love for you to reach out, just ask him any questions you have. Barry, thank you again so much for coming on today.
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was awesome.
Hey, I want to thank Barry one more time for coming on. It was a great episode. I loved it. Barry, thank you again. You're the man. Everyone remember to go listen to Barry's podcast, Greatness Ignited. The link is in the description. Also, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. It helps us know people are listening. Thanks again.